Hello everybody. Okay, today is core and stretch day. So I've got 4 core exercises and then 4 stretches that we're going to go through. And as usual, I'll go through and do 3 rounds and show you how to kind of progress as we go through each round. Again, you don't have to do 3 rounds if you don't want. You can just do 1 round or 2 rounds or whatever works for you and your schedule. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to start with plank. That's in there. So with plank, to start off with, I would do this from the knees. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on our elbows and walk our knees out until you feel the core engage. And then you're just going to hold this here. So what you don't want to do is sag the hips, or you don't want the hips way up here. You want to kind of pull down until you feel them engage. And then you're just going to hold this for about 30 seconds to a minute, or whatever you feel comfortable doing. So plank is an amazing exercise because it really engages all parts of the core. So just get your timer out and aim for, again, I would start with about 30 seconds if you can. And then you're just going to push back up. The second exercise is called bird dog. And bird dog is great because it's working the lower back area. We're also getting a little shoulder and a little glute. So if you are just starting off and you want, this requires a little bit of balance. So if this is challenging for you, because really what you're doing is you're lifting an opposite arm and leg, you can start off just lifting the leg or just holding the arm out while you lift the leg. So for balance, I would just start here and focus on squeezing here and stabilizing with the lower back, just like this. And I would do, 10 to 15 per side. And then we'll switch to the other side. So same thing, you can just bring your arm out to help you brace, and then lift the leg. And you're not having to go too high. It's more about kind of reaching up and out, and again, letting the lower back stabilize. Good. So the third exercise is good old-fashioned crunches. So with these, what we're doing is we're just trying to shorten the area between the ribs and the hips. So you can start with your hands here. If it doesn't hurt your neck, of course you can brace here if you want to. But I like to start here, keeping a little space in the chin, and just kind of gently reach for the outside of the knees. Gives you something to aim for. And then we're going to breathe out as we come up. So you're just going to do about, again, 10 to 15 of these, coming almost all the way back down, but you don't have to come completely all the way back down. Again, if this hurts your neck, you can use a towel or your hands to brace. But I'm just going to reach out as I come up. It's not a big movement, but again, we're focusing here on this muscle called the rectus abdominis. And then the last exercise is bicycle crunches. So what bicycle crunches look like is this. But if you're just starting out, what you can do is you can just do one at a time. You can even put your other arm down and just reach up and over and then back. And again, you do about 10 per side or so. Here. I'm not really counting. So if you're doing this with me and you want to do more than I'm doing, feel free. One more. Good. Okay, so for round 2 with the plank, we're going to go ahead and lift up onto the toes. So same thing here. We're going to come down onto our elbows. You want the elbows right below the shoulder. Step back into the plank. Feet are about hips width apart. And then you're simply going to hold. Again, we don't want to sag. We don't want to be up here. We want to drop into a nice flat plank. And again, we're getting everything engaged here, especially we have a deeper muscle called the transverse abdominis. Runs like a belt, kind of in between our muscles and our organs. And this really helps to engage that. So think about pulling the belly button in towards the spine. And then again, we would do this for 30 seconds to a minute, or if you can't get 30 seconds, that's fine. You can always drop down to the knees for a minute and then pop back up onto the toes. I should say for a second, not a minute. Okay? So bird dog this time, we're gonna go ahead. So we want to start in tabletop position. So wrist under the shoulder, knees under the hips. And then for this one, I'm gonna start with my right hand, my left leg, and then just lift. And I'm using the low back to stabilize, squeeze at the top. I think it's easier to do one side at a time so you're not having to switch and try to balance. So again, you do just about 10 on each side. Nice, slow, controlled. And then switch to the other side. I'll do 10 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, another really good one for the glutes and the hamstrings. You'll probably feel that working all down and through here. Okay, crunches this time. You can bring your hands over your chest if you want. You can still reach here, or you can bring your hands up. It's going to make it a little bit more challenging. And then again, we're just going to come back, breathe out as you come up. Good. Go ahead and rest. You should feel that right there in the 6-pack or the 8-pack muscle. And then for the last, we're going to do bicycle crunches. So start with the feet up, hands back, and then just gently drop and rotate. There's 10. If you want to do more, you can. All right, round 2. So on to round 3. Same thing with the plank this time. I'm going to go on my elbows and onto the toes. Now, from here, if you want to add in or activate some different muscle fibers, you can do some different things. For example, you can do knee taps, or you can do something called rainbow planks where you rotate side to side, get the oblique muscles, or you can experiment with lifting one leg. Switch to the other side. So a couple of variations there that would make it a little bit more challenging. Okay, bird dog, same thing for this one. We're just going to lift opposite arm and leg. Not really a way to make this more challenging unless you wanted to hold a light weight and lift with the arm. You could do that. I would go with something pretty light, like a 2-pound weight to start with, or like a can of green beans or something. And then we just switch. I think I did 8. And sit back. All right, crunches. Now, if you have a stability ball, you can, want to show you crunches on here. If you don't, no big deal. You can just do regular crunches. But if you do them on the stability ball, you're going to roll out till your shoulders are still off the ball, but your lower back is on the ball. And then you just lean over and crunch up. If you want to make it more challenging, you just scoot back a little bit. Less challenging, you scoot forward. But same thing, we're just shortening the distance here between the ribs and the hips. You can hold a towel if you want. Put your hands here. If you want to make it more challenging, you can bring your hands up over. Woo, shaking. Okay. So again, about 10 to 15 of those. I'm not going to attempt to do bicycle crunches on the ball. We'll go ahead and do a last set of those down here. Again, start up and then just, and the lower you drop your feet, the more challenging it's going to be. So you can bring your feet up a little bit, or you can lower them towards the mat. Nice, slow, controlled. Good. All right, so we hit all the major core muscle groups there. So the rectus abdominis, the obliques, the lower back, and that transverse abdominis muscle that I mentioned. So stretching, we're going to start with a little bit of spinal rotation. So we're going to put one foot over like this, and then sit up nice and tall, like somebody's pulling you from the top of your head, and then you're just going to gently rotate over. You can bring the elbow across like this if you want. And just, you want to hold the stretch for about 30 seconds. Certainly you could hold it longer if you wanted to, or you could kind of release and go back into it. A way to make this a little bit more challenging, if you cross or bring this one foot underneath and then cross over, you start to get a little bit more of a stretch here. Again, sit up tall and then rotate. The next one is a double knee hug. This is great for the lower back. So we're just going to lay down, pull the knees in. You can hug from underneath. If you have good knees, you can pull on top. It doesn't bother them. You're just going to pull it in and pull the tailbone down towards the mat at the same time. So we're not trying to pull up. Keep the tailbone down and just pull the knees in. Good stretch for the lower back. You might feel it some in the hamstrings and the glutes as well. Again, hold this for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then the last stretch is child's pose, one of my favorites. So with this one, you want to bring your feet together and then bring the knees apart just a bit. And then we're going to bring the toes down and sit back and extend the arms, drop the head. Again, a great stretch for the lower back. You can also bring your arms down like this. Or again, you can extend them out. When you extend them out, you also get a great stretch in the upper back. So you could go through that whole round, you know, one more time or two more times. But that is how you do the stretches, and that is core and stretch. Y'all enjoy.